الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. In the first lesson, we went through Ilmul Adab and Fazilat of Ilmul Adab and Qurani ayat, ahadith with regards to learning Arabic language. Our Hazrat Shaykhul Hadith, Maulana Muhammad Zakaria Sahab Rahmatullahi Ali has written a book like Fazail Amal. So he's written a book on Fazail Arabi, Arabi Zaman Sikhne ke Fazail. He's also written a book on Fazail Tijarat, virtues of Tijarat, business. So Arabic Zaban, we should learn and try to master it, because by that way we can learn, understand Quran Sharif, Hadith Sharif. Though we went over the Tarjama of Sahib Maqamat in brief, we'll go over it again. First of all, what is Maqamat? This book is called Maqamatul Hariri, Muzaf Muzafile. Sometimes they use Mawsuf Sifat, Al Maqamatul Haririyatu. Both correct. In my Nuskha is written Maqamatul Haririyya. In your Nuskha is written Al Maqamatul Haririyatu. So both are correct. Maqamat is plural of Maqamatun. And Maqamatun is Ismi Zarf from Qama Yaqumu. And Qama Yaqumu means to stand up. So Maqamatun means place of standing. Then it is used for sessions. Like the word Majlis is used for sessions. Majlis, Jama Majalis. We have books like Majalisul Abrar, Majalisu Fulan, Majalis Hazrat Maulana Sharaf Ali Thanvi. So this means his sessions where students would be sitting in that majlis and whatever he said was noted down and it was passed on as a majlis. So this Maqamatun is like a session. And Hariri is the name of the author. Abul Qasim Ali ibn Muhammad, Abul Qasim, no, sorry, Abul Qasim bolli, Abu Muhammad Al-Qasim ibn Ali ibn Muhammad ibn Uthman al-Basri al-Hariri. Al-Hariri, Harir means resham, silk. So their family profession was selling silk. That's why they are known as Al-Hariri, the silk sellers. Now, this fun of Maqamat was originally initiated by Allama Badi, Allama Hariri Rahmatullahi alayhi. His Maqamat were called Maqamat-e-Badi'i. He started this fun. He used to dictate something to the students who would note it down and it would become one session. And he wrote 300 Maqamat. But his Maqamat are sometimes really short, few lines, sometimes very long, few pages. So there was no balance in his Maqamat. But it was just to show the Arabic literacy, how beautiful, versatile Arabic language is, and how fasih and baligh and eloquent. And he used to use very high words. I have Maqamat-e-Badi'i there in my collection. Well, some words are there which just go above your head. So he, was very eloquent person and he wrote very nice Maqamat. But the thing is, some are just a few lines, as I said, and others are very long. So there was no balance in it. But he is the first one to start it off. And Allama Hariri has mentioned his name in the Muqaddamah as well. That he is Sabbaqu Ghayatin wa Sahibu Ayatin wa in lam yudriki dhali'u sha'wa dhalih. He is the one who went ahead to the finishing line. And he is Sahibul Ayat, a man of miracles, and Ajib, amazing Maqamat he had written. So he started, and others followed. Then some others came, like Allama Jarullah Zamakhshari also wrote Maqamat Zamakhshari, and others also wrote down that line. Others followed him, but he is the starter. I read somewhere up in the biography of Allama Badiu Zaman Hamzani, Rahmatullah alayh, that, about his death, how he died. He his heartbeat stopped, and people thought that he's dead. So in those days, janaza, kafan, dafan was very quick. So the doctor came, checked his pulse, and he said, "There's no pulse. He's finished." Took him to ghusl khana, wash kiya jaldi, kafan pehnaya, janaza padha, qabr mein dal diya. As they were throwing soil on his grave, they heard a scream from inside, and they quickly dug the grave open again. And it turned out that he had taken his hand out of the coffin and he was holding on to his beard, and he had heart failure and he died in the cover because of the horror of the grave, the tanhai and loneliness, and how scary the qabr is. And then they realized that, oh, he had not died. It was only that his heartbeat had stopped for a bit, and sometimes through them defibrillators, the heartbeat starts again. But there were no defibrillators at that time, so who can revive? But everything was so fast that by the time his heartbeat started again, he was already in the cover. Now he had a heart fail, died. There is another incident of Allama Nasiruddin Busti Rahmatullah alayh. Same thing happened to him. But when he opened his eyes in the grave, he realized and he remembered that Yasin Sharif is really good for removing problems, calamities. So he started reciting Yasin wal Quran al Hakim 41 times. Ulama have said, tajraba, if a woman is going through labor pains and struggling to deliver, then someone should start reading Yasin 41 times. By the time 41 Yasin finishes, she will deliver the baby. Similarly, someone's ruh is not leaving and they are in sakarat for many days, then read Yasin 41 times, and in that, inshallah, the death will become easy. So he started reading Yasin 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And by the time he was getting nearly to 40, he heard some khadakat phawda spades, and someone was opening the grave up. And this was a kafanchor, thieves who steal the shrouds. What do? They leave the body naked, take the shroud, wash it, and sell it in the market to make money from it. So kafanchor aa gaya, or he started digging the grave. And by the time he finished his 41 Yasin, wo khabar khul gayi thi. And when he went for the kafan, Nasiruddin Busti Rahmatullah alayh sat up and he was in the darkness of the night, and the chor had heart fail. He died there. And Nasiruddin Busti Rahmatullah alayh came out. He covered his satar with the kafan cloth, and then he went around people's homes and he said, "Bhai, I am Nasiruddin Busti. I did not die, only my heartbeat stopped and you buried me, and this is what happened, and the kafan chor is there." And he had his second life. So he then started writing tafsir. He said, "I've got, मुझे दूसरी जिंदगी मिली है, अब मैं कोई तफसीर की किताब लिखता हूँ." And he wrote a book on tafsir of Quran Sharif. So this incident happened with Allama Badiu Zaman Hamzani. But Badiu Zaman Hamzani, he himself had a real heart fail and he died in the qabr. Then we have Allama Hariri Rahmatullahi alayhi now, who was born in the year 446 and died in the year 516 after Hijrah. So you know the era in which he was. And he was an extremely intelligent, zaki, hoshiyar, fasih, and baligh. He was one of his own time, Ibnul Waqt. Nobody could rival him. In Arabic literacy, he was a totally different person. And as it is said, Jarullah Zamakhshari, who came later on and who wrote a book called Al Kashaf, Tafsirul Kashaf, it is to explain and elaborate on the eloquence and fasahat balaghat of Quran Majid. And he proved in there that every word that Quran has used is the best word for that place, for that sentence. You can't take any word out and replace it with another word. Quran is the word of Allah, and Quran is inimitable. You can't copy Quran and make some kalam like Quran Sharif. So such a person who is at the top in the field of fasahat and balaghat and i'jaz, and who explained the i'jaz of Quran through balaghat, he said regarding Maqamat Hariri, أقسم بالله وآياته ومشعر الحج وميقاته إن الحريري حري بأن نكتب بالتبر مقاماته. Hariri is deserving that we write his maqamat with golden water. So, one um, some people did try to copy Quran Sharif. They wrote their own, but they couldn't, and they washed it with water. Similar thing happened with Maqamat Hariri as well. Some people tried to copy Maqamat Hariri, but then they saw that ये मेरा कलाम तो बहुत फीका फीका है. Let alone reading Quran, I can't read Maqamat Hariri. So he went to the well and washed his writing with water so nobody sees it. Otherwise, people will make fun of him. So Hariri's Maqamat are also at the very top of Balaghat. And this is why it is taught in our madaris, in Darse Nizami. In Darul Deoban, Mazahirul Saharanpur, in our madaris, it's taught everywhere. I studied it in Darul Bari with my Hazrat, Nawwarallahu Marqadahu. I think it was the year 1981, 82, when I was in Arbi Chaharu. 82, 83 is Mishkat, and 83, 84 is Dora. So 81, 82, when I was in the fourth year, Hazrat taught us Maqamatul Hariri. And Hazrat had his unique way of teaching Maqamat. He had studied Maqamat under Hazrat Maulana Shamsuddin Afghani Rahmatullah alayh in Jamia Hussainiya, Randir, India. And he was from Afghanistan. He had studied in Darul Uloom Deoband. And Maulana Saeed Randeri Sahab, the principal of Jamia Hussainiya, was graduate of Deoband. So he went to Deoband and he met the Asatiza and he said, I need some experienced teacher with a good istidad for our madrasa. So they said, this young graduate, Shamsuddin Afghani, he has very good istidad. He will be a very good teacher. Take him. So Hazrat Maulana Saeed Sahab talked to him and he brought him to Jamia Hussainiya, Randir. Now, our Hazrat mentioned that his Taqiya Kalam was Basani Banda Magar. Basani Banda Magar. So Hazrat brought him here and then they were walking around the Kutub Khana library looking at books. And Hazrat Maulana Saeed Sahab said, Hazrat, aap kaun si kitab padhayenge? Which kitab would you like to teach? And Maulana Shamsuddin Sahab said, Basani Banda Magar, ye sara Kutub Khana banda padha dega. That was his style of saying things. Meaning he had very good istidat. And our Hazrat was very fond of him. In fact, our Hazrat wanted to bring him to Darul Bari as Sheikhul Hadith. But Hazrat was, Maulana Shamsuddin Sahab's health did not permit him. And he passed away. So Hazrat Maulana Islamul Haq Sahab Rahmatullah was brought as Sheikhul Hadith over here. And Mawlana Islamullah Sahib was also our Hazrat's Ustad. So our Hazrat studied it with Maulana Shamsuddin Sahib, and I studied with our Hazrat. And our Hazrat taught us 20 Maqamat. And Hazrat used to go over sabak very quickly. If I was to go at Hazrat's speed, you wouldn't understand anything. Fatafat Hazrat chalte the, very fast. In fact, you know the 20th Maqama, the whole Maqama Hazrat taught in one lesson. So Hazrat was Hazrat. May Allah have mercy on Hazrat's grave. आज 9 September है और आज हजरत को पूरे 5 years हो गए. He died on the 9th of September 5 years ago on Monday. और आज Monday है. तो अल्लाह have mercy on him. कुल हुल्ला शरीफ पढ़ो, हजरत को इसारे सवाब कर दो 11 मरतबा. So, inshallah, we will be going over the Maqamat. Allama Abu Muhammad Al Qasim Ibn Muhammad Al Hariri, Rahmatullah alayhi, wrote this Maqama after this incident which happened. He was in Masjid Bani Haram, which is the name of a Qabila of Arab. And one person who was wearing some nice sheet, and he seemed to be a traveler, not in very good state, but he was very eloquent in speech, came on some majlis which was sitting there, among whom Hariri was sitting in the masjid as well. He did salam and he asked people for help. And the masjid was filled with ulama, fudala, and they were amazed at his fasahat and balaghat and how he was speaking, manner of his speech. He mentioned that the Romans had taken him as captive, and then what happened, how they treated him, and how he escaped, and how he is in need of help now, very dire need. People had pity on him, and they did a lot of chanda for him, gave him money. In that evening, Hariri's place, people gathered, and they mentioned what happened in their local masjid that day. So the ulama fuzala who came from other masajid mentioned that this person came to our masjid as well as a beggar. And he mentioned some other incident there. And he asked people for help, and people helped him with a lot of money, a lot of chanda. So everybody mentioned different stories. Now this person's name was Abu Zaid Saruji. So Hariri Rahmatullah alayhi wrote a maqama, a majlis, and named it Al Maqamatul Haramiyya. And it is included in this Maqamat, is the 41st Maqama in this kitab. That's the real incident which happened. But then he wrote some more Maqamat by way of fiction. Like we write books of fiction or novels. So in the novels, the story doesn't have to be, sometimes it's a true story, sometimes it's not true story. But the novel has to be appealing. The language of it and the way it's written, that it's interesting and people feel like reading it. So this Maqamat is all full of fictitious stories. But it seems like it's true. And he has made the hero of Maqamat Abu Zaid Saruji. And he starts off the Maqamat by the name of Haris ibn Hammam. Hakal Haris ibn Hammam in al-Basriyu. Haris ibn Hammam narrates that so and so incident happened. Haris ibn Hammam is indication towards the author Abu Muhammad al Qasim al Hariri rahmatullah alayh. And why he chose these two names? Because Harith is from Harth, and Harth means kheti badi, farming, and you have to work really hard to be a farmer. So Haris means a person who's working really hard. And Hammam is from Hammun, and Hammun means to worry, fikr. And every person has some worries on their heads. Nobody is free from fikr and worries. No matter how wealthy you are, you will still have some worries and fikr on your head. This is why one hadith said, Ahabbul asma'i ilallahi Abdullah wa Abdul Rahman wa asdaquha Harith wa Hammam wa aqbahuha Harb wa Murrah. The most beloved names to Allah are Abdullah and Abdul Rahman because there's Abdiyat in there. And the most truthful names are Harith and Hammam because every person is Harith and every person is Hammam. And the most hated and disliked names are Harb and Murrah because Harb means fighter and Murrah means Kadwa, bitter. So Allah doesn't like Harb and Murrah names. So Haris and Hammam are classed as the most truthful names. Perhaps because of that hadith, Sahibi Maqamat, the author of Maqamat, chose the names Haris and Hammam, and he starts off his Maqama with حدث الحارث بن همام or حكى الحارث بن همام قال الحارث بن همام. That's how the Maqama starts. And then the hero and who says everything is Abu Zayd Saruji. So this is how how the maqamat is formed and the methodology of Maqamatul Hariri. Then what happened later on? There are two riwayat mentioned by the Muwarrikhin. One is that Wazir Naushirwa asked him to write more, so he wrote more and added them and made total 50 maqamat. So this kitab will have 50 maqamat. Some said he had written 10 maqamat and they were passed on to the Wazir. Wazir called him over and told him to sit in the governor's house and write more. But Hariri's mind just went blank. He couldn't write anything. So people rumored that these maqamat which he had written are not his, it's someone else's and he stole that work. Plagiarism. So Hariri couldn't write it, and sometimes it happens. Your mind just goes blank. You want to write, but you can't write it. And other times your mind just flows with mazmoon, and you can keep writing and writing. So he came back home, and in the comfort of his home, he wrote more maqamat. And then he sent them to the wazir that I'm sorry, I couldn't write there because my mind just went blank. And this is more maqamat which I have written. The whole collection of the maqamat came up to 50 maqamat. And Abu Muhammad al Hariri, Sahibul Maqamat, used to live in Basra, Iraq. He died in Basra on the 6th of Rajab in the year 516 after Hijrah. He was not very good looking. Sometimes some ulama have been like that. Hariri was also one of them. He was very fasih and baligh, but not very good looking. Someone heard about his fame and came to study from him, but when he saw his face, he didn't like him. So he was a bit cringed. And Hariri realized, and he composed a share. ما أنت أول سار غره القمر याद ध्यान से निकल गया ما أنت أول سار غره القمر ورائد أعجبته خضرة الدمن ورائد أعجبته خضرة الدمن إنني رجل مثل المعيد فاسمع بي ولا ترني. You are not the first person who was deceived by the light of the moon, nor the one who was looking for water and who was pleased by the greenery of the tip. I am a man who is like the person al mu'idi. So listen to my work and study my work, but don't look at my face. Mu'idi was a person from Jahiliyyah, from the tribe of Ma'ad, I think. People said he's very good akhlaq and this and that. So someone went to see him. But when he went there, he was very abusive and insulting and swearing. And so the person came back and he said this famous sentence, Tasma'u bil mu'idi khairun min an tarahu. Just hearing about Mu'idi and his good akhlaq is better than going to see him. Because he's not that well mannered and good akhlaq as you hear about him. He's a different person. So he said, I am like Mu'idi, just hear my kalam and study my kalam, but don't look at my face. So Hariri was not so well looking. Some ulama are like that. Amash was one-eyed. He had some water in his eyes. And A'raj comes name because he was lame and limping, but he's a muhaddis. Amash is a muhaddis. So this is test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Anyhow, this is a little bit about Sahibul Maqamat. And as we mentioned earlier, Maqamat is a book on Nathar, and it has a little bit of nazm in it. Nathar means kalami manthur, where it's like a rhyme, but not poetry. In short words, nathar is like rhyme and nazm is like poetry, ash'ar. So it will have little bit of ash'ar here and there, but the main kalam is of rhyme and nathar kalami manthur. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم إنا نحمدك على ما علمت من البيان وألهمت من التبيان. ए अल्लाह, हम आपकी तारीफ करते हैं उस पर जो आपने सिखाया बयान में से और जो आपने दिल में ढाला तिबियान में से. कमा नहमदुका अलामा असबगता मिनल अताई व असबलता मिनल गिताई. जैसा कि हम तारीफ करते हैं उस पर जो आपने लटकाया, जो आपने कामिल किया बख्शिश से और जो आपने लटकाया पर्दा से. व नऊज़ु बिका मिन शिर्रतिल लसनी व फुदूलिल हज़री. और हम आपकी पनाह लेते हैं ज़बान की तेज़ी से और फजूल बकवास से. कमा नऊज़ु बिका मिन मअर्रतिल लकनी व फुदूहिल हसरी. जैसा कि हम आपकी पनाह लेते हैं लुकनत की तकलीफ से और खामोश पड़ जाने की रुसवाई से. बस इतना याद करके आना, फिर मैं आगे समझा दूंगा. ठीक है. वैसे इसका इंग्लिश तो मैंने किया था, फिर बाद में कर लेंगे, अभी टाइम पूरा हो गया है. चलिए इतना याद कर लेना तर्जुमा. I'm going to listen to तर्जुमा. ओके, एवरी डे यू हैव टू रीड द तर्जुमा टू मी. अस्सलाम वालेकुम.